Shirley here with Sirius Talis Moon, and this is Mercury, our Venus day. And we have the moon 11 degrees Leo, just coming from the new moon, conjoining a retrograde Mercury in 13 degrees Leo. The sun is still opposing Pluto, separating from the minute and still on the degree of opposition to Pluto. This opposition is remediated by Saturn and Neptune. Mars is 22ing, conjoining Ketu, ruling over the Saturn-Neptune and ruled by Mercury, which is ruled by the Sun. So we have a nice reception, a balance of equities. For those of you who might be interested, Israel may be parting ways with the WHO. Currently, only Liechtenstein is not a part of the WHO, and there are thoughts by United States to disintegrate from that. One thing, this marks the chart where, and ascendant 29 degrees Scorpio, this marks the chart where I turn to the state of Israel to pitch a union for patient sovereignty. And so one of the things that are a challenge to national and international security are projects like MK Ultra. And when people are not allowed the sovereignty and safe relation, okay, particularly safe relation to be who they are as soldiers, as commanders, as decisions makers, as billionaires, then basically not only they're susceptible to mind control, but it basically means that we do not have safe relations also nationally and internationally. Okay, if the person who is running the negotiation is having disorganized attachment, then they will find it very difficult to establish trust, which means they will find it very difficult to establish a safe relation. Now, this is a different approach to the extortion called politics and extortion called economy that always seem to prove themselves with the very wealthy families that create them, running away from concentration camps, which they themselves funded. So since we are in that time of the season, then the understanding that patient sovereignty is one of the leading factors to prevention of suicide. I've been contacting organizations like Dignitas, which is a global organization, and as well as looking into even simple medical problems like aligning bone structure in the feet or stuff that is not covered by most insurances, whereas what is covered is usually either misleading or downright, giving giving estrogen to people with cysts that create estrogen to make them grow. So it's kind of like it's growing cysts with people. That's what the medical insurance covers in the US, where people pay the most for medical insurance and for medical care. So that's supposed to be the best of care, and it's not. So, but particularly, I've touched on the topic of suicide. Most people that commit suicide have turned to ask for help or have been exposed to what happens when people seek help. And this is a worldwide problem where what eventually leads to committing suicide simply the understanding that is, hey, nobody's there to save you, but also that the way out is death. And what challenges this notion right now is actually the change in the medical structure globally and the longing for sovereignty with people. And so each and every individual longs for sovereignty. It's a great time to act for patient sovereignty and to create unions in favor of patient sovereignty worldwide. Because that's the thing, sovereignty affirming care. Okay, sovereignty affirming care, which stands on the patient sovereignty, is something that is essential to health. It's of great importance in psychological health component. Okay, if a person is not sovereign, then they basically, first of all, they don't see the others. Why would another person have rights when they don't? And this is a vital thing. Okay, when it comes to Aries, it's a life and death situation. And here we have two planets that are associated with that. Moon with the 11th degree, okay, where people would get to commit suicide or ask for death with dignity, because they know that they want to live, and they know that they are that the resources are there. Okay, I have been I remember actually a conversation with an economist when I was working for the Israeli-Palestinian Chamber of Commerce, and I was just a secretary, so I was writing the notes there. And actually, I left because of some sort of minor Me Too related stuff. It's just that actually also women participated in. It was just not a working environment that was good for my health in terms of the what went on there. And that's the truth. That's why I left. I didn't take my money. I didn't take my my stuff. And I see that as an intergenerational working environment issue. But also, I remember a conversation with an economist that took the bus with me to the train, and he affirmed to me, the person that is exposed to the reports, exposed to the numbers, exposed to the money. And by the way, the most of the Chamber of Commerce, it was about money. Okay, it was like that the importance of trade. We traded with Palestine way before any independence declaration that will or will not be. So if we trade with a certain entity, that's a very interesting thing, because Palestine exists as per trading. We trade with some entity, okay, and that trade is coming from Israel. So that's important. But what another thing that he told me was, basically, we have all the resources for every single person in the world to grow, not only to have a good life, but to live good. And the only challenge is to connect the people with one another. Now, people love to travel, so we don't actually have a problem when it comes to wealth redistribution. And so most of the things that lead people to commit suicide, even the physical ailments, are usually the result of not having sovereignty affirming care. And this is a great opportunity to actually do something about that. And another planet is Mars on the 22, again ruled by this Mercury. Had a conversation with the veteran, and it is true that it is thanks to the veterans that we helped. Very simply put, okay? But it's also true that the way we train soldiers and commanders, okay, Mars 22 is the soldier, the commander, the person who is in a position where they might have to kill to defend what is right. And what is right, is only thing is right to defend is sovereignty. We are in Aries. This is Aries. Pluto has left Cancer. Pluto has left Cancer. We're not in Cancer. It's not what did you do for the country, not what the country did for you. Because if what the country is doing for you is a democide, then we understand that patient sovereignty, and we are also living towards building a global village, building unity. And that cannot stand without sovereignty. Of each and every individual, regardless of what's between their legs or what's between their ears or what blood they have in their veins. So this is the chart. The chart has a Mercury retrograde, which is going back on initiatives regarding dignitas, tending to the topic of assisted death and death with dignity, tending to the actual problems that keep people that absolutely want to live and absolutely want to choose life, and the constant experiences, accumulating experiences of when people choosing life, they don't seem to have an accommodation. It's like you're choosing life, fine, you need to fund for it. If they can't be fiscally accommodated, which they can be, they can, then what's happening is that people basically prefer to step out these death cults by actually going for assisted death. Now, as we learn about relational structure, which is sexual sovereignty is also connected to, then we understand that to have all these things that they tell us that they violate our sovereignty for, to actually have national and international security, safe relation is needed. And when people are trained by rape and torture in MK Ultra projects to dissociation, they're basically creating mind control that is both eating at the fiscal funding for anything military alliance related, whether it's NAVO, CSTO, or any other. There's a in Burkina Faso, there's a leader that wants to form a competing to NATO military alliance. So anything of that sort is basically actually defend the country or defend national security or defend international security is basically being eaten away by the many side effects of people being mind controlled. And so it's not economic. And here we have with Saturn, Neptune, okay, and a desire to build up to. And one of the things, why would people put in the extra shift, the extra things, the extra that, if they don't feel like the labor is yielding, and if what they're invested in is basically negating sovereignty? When it comes to health, people recover when they, and what is that the person recovering is the I am. So this is the chart, and I basically, since I'm situated in Israel, then Israel is a good study case, because Israel has been Pfizer, they have been the lab rats, they have been way too integrated with the WHO, which has led to Israel being basically doing the dirty job of other MK Ultra based structures and taking all the fire, where in fact any country is a list of corporations. There's a water corporation, there's an electricity corporation, and most, if I write to a governor in Israel, I received an answer of a person with a Chinese name replying to me in perfect Hebrew. I don't know if it's a chat GPT or not. An answer that absolutely is not useful to me. So when it comes to each and every country and their own sovereignty, again, invasion comes from the 12th house. It's hospital, jails, secluded places, secluded people, homeless people, okay, people that have misfortune, loss, grief, okay. This is where people are most susceptible. And this chart, if we take a look at, yes, ruler of the 12th in the 8th, Uranus in the 8th, the union of, and the Mercury in the 9th house, okay, so something that is also building up on the international arena. The direct confrontation of the sun, which is also to do with health and heart health and vision and confidence and shine and radiance, with Pluto, that is ruled by this Saturn, which is the more decentralized or global structure, and that to do with the medical care, and the notion and the idea of sovereignty. Mars 22, okay, the question of murder and suicide. So military alliances, and the suicide of the veterans and the people that have been affected by MK Ultra, that are, by the way, entitled, and I'm one of them, to lifelong compensation. So we have the money. An heretic degree Scorpio ascendant, ruled by this 22 Mars with Ketu, okay, purging of something of the old. While it may not be the best thing for initiations, it is definitely capturing, when it comes to the lot of divination, it's capturing a lot of the things that the political and medical beings will align with, that will save themselves something that is a war that they cannot win, because they will have to compete with AI. This is why the topic of sovereignty is such a hot topic within the very sectors where the initiation was actually a violation of sovereignty, and that is secret societies. Midheaven, 8 degrees Virgo. Again, Mercury is retrograde. This is going back to a topic that will be revisited again. Actually, this is the 10th house for Mercury. And Jupiter in Cancer in the 9th house, ruled by this moon. Okay, Jupiter Cancer. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. And this is basically when we think about suicide care, and how so many cases of suicide are directly and indirectly related to sovereignty, to being seen to have a safe relation where a person can have their own I am and have a safe relation that they are accommodated for fiscally, emotionally, and are respected and honored as who they are. Those are the things that cause suicide. Those are the things that cause people to apply for assisted death. And those are the things that cause invasion and drain on the funding to any, even the wealth families themselves. Okay, if the money that comes in serve them to do addictive patterns and not actually enjoy life and enjoy the living, which they do not. Okay, the ritual abuse is not coming from a healthy, happy soul with safe relation. But that requires also the indigenous tribes to basically begin to address these topics.